So what we'll do right now is proceed with writing a summary for the Freeland article, The Real Corporate Social Responsibility. To do this, what we'll do is use the directions from Engaging Questions. These ones are on page 139 in the textbook, and I'm using a picture of the textbook so that way I have a better way to present it. And then so we're going to look at these steps on page 139. Step number 1, read and annotate the entire source, noting the main points and the key supporting points. So that means we're going to go to the Freeland article. We have it right here. And actually, I'm going to even look at the steps before that. So in your notebook, first write down the author, title, and other source information you'll need for your works and your cited list. So APA and MLA. So what we're going to do is I'll go ahead and make my notes right here. And we've got Freeland, C period. Let me see if we have other information from there. So it looks like it was 2010. Let's see, do we have more information about the date? So July 18th, 2010. So let's go ahead and add that so that we have that. It's 2010, July 18th, period. The real corporate, so what is it? The real corporate responsibility. And then we can see that it's from the Washington Post, so that's in italics. The Washington Post. All right, then we're done. So that's the entry for the for our writing, and we'll use this to kind of take notes, but for right now we're going to do some annotations. So what we've got is we can know who wrote it, Chrystia Freeland. If we want, another way that we can kind of think a little bit more about this is that we can use some of the steps from chapter 2. So this is the from chapter 2, starting on page 16. I've got these pre-reading questions which you can do. You can think about what is the text about. You can learn kind of from the title. What do you know about the topic? Who wrote the text? When and where was it published? Who is the audience for this text? What special features does the text contain that might aid comprehension? And epigraphs. So I won't spend too much time on that, but I think that if you write some of that stuff down, like knowing that Chrystia Freeland is sort of a left-wing writer and the Washington Post is a little more left-leaning, then you can understand that it's probably going to be opinions that are a little more liberal as opposed to being less conservative. So that's something that you can keep in mind so that when you're reading this, you can understand some of the ideas and lens that are brought to it. So we've got that as our, where we understand a little bit about the text. We know that we're talking about from looking through, we can see we're talking about BP and the oil spill. So let's go ahead and annotate this. I'm going to do this first paragraph. So for the weeks, people on both sides of the Atlantic have been speculating over who would lose his job. First, because of the BP oil spill, Ken Salazar, the Interior Secretary, or Tony Hayward, the oil company's chief executive. So we're talking about, wait, someone's going to lose his job because of the BP spill. All right. Given last week's initial progress in capping the well, I won't try to name a favorite in the race, but I would like to suggest a third, inanimate culprit, the cult of corporate social responsibility. So, and another thing to take in mind is that this was published in July 2010. So they're talking about, last week's initial progress in capping the well. So you can't think about what happened 1 week ago. You can think about what happened 1 week and 9 years ago, because that's how long this is an older story. and this is months after the BP oil spill. So you may think, I want to understand a little bit more about the BP oil spill, and then Tony Hayward, the company's chief executive. So it might help to kind of look up some of the information. So let's do BP oil spill 2010. 2010. So Google that, and we can see there's a lot of information. So we've got the Deepwater Horizon spill. Again, Wikipedia is not a good source for all your in-depth information and research, but it's a good place to go for some basic information. So one thing you can see is that it began on April 20th. So the fact that it sounds like this thing is still going on in July, 3 months later, that's kind of shocking that there's still oil leaking into the Gulf of Mexico. So you can kind of make these sorts of notes.